Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside the Pit. I'm your host, Luke Sobiek, and always with me for the ride is UFC middleweight Chris Camozzi.
How you doing, guys?
How's it going, Chris? We haven't seen you in a little bit. You got a big fight coming up. Tell us who and when you're going to be fighting.
Yeah, I've been all over the place lately. It's been a pretty busy summer. Next up is Lorenz Larkin, November 6th, Fight for the Troops 3 in Kentucky. It's on the military base Fort Campbell, so I'm excited. It's going to be a different experience. It's not a public fight as far as the public being able to buy tickets. It's just for the military, and it'll be on FS1.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations. That's a huge fight for you. And also, congrats on getting married this past summer.
Oh, thank you. I had the time of my life, and I enjoyed it a little bit too much, so I'm getting back down.
Well, anyway, we have a huge event coming up on September 13th. Sparta Combat League presents Havoc at the Hellspawn. Dynamic card, especially with the main event, a 5-round SCL middleweight championship fight between Adam Stroop and Donnie Lyles.
Yeah, it's going to be a great fight. For Adam, this is probably the first big fight of his career as far as fighting somebody with a lot more experience than him, somebody who's been around a long time. Adam's a teammate of mine. We've had him on here before. And, I know Donnie from the past as well, so I'm really excited for this fight.
Now, you said you are teammates with Adam Stroop over at Factory X. Tell us, how has he been preparing for this huge event?
Adam just turned a new leaf, these last few fights. The more experience you get under your belt, the easier it is to get in the ring and focus and hear your corners and, follow a game plan. When you initially go out there, your first few fights, it's kind of everything's out the door, Guys never hear their corners. They don't know what's going on. They're just on, autopilot. And now, you can see he's thinking in there. He's thinking like a professional. He's picking his shots. He's, following our game plans and following directions really well. So, for Adam, he's just been growing in the gym daily, and, it's really cool to see. We brought in some physiologists, a guy named Dr. Bob Forrester, who tested our whole team's VO2 max levels. You can go ahead and look it up if you don't know what that is. It's a long explanation, but so that's a new thing that we're doing at Factory X to build our cardio, and it's all science. These guys work with the Olympic teams, and tons of athletes. They work for the Lakers, other people, and it's going to be huge for us. So you're going to see Adam more than ready for a 5-round fight.
Yeah, Adam is on a 4-fight win streak, battling some very tough guys along the way. He defeated Michael Matthews, Willie Smalls, who is also going to be on this card, Jason Clayton, and Jeremy Hart in his last fight. Adam now holds a 5-1 record overall, professional record.
Yeah, 5-1 is a great record. That one loss was good for him too. It's never fun to lose, but I think that loss really motivated him, and he learned a lot from it. And that's the experience you need as a young fighter to progress through your career.
Yeah, and Chris, you also know Donnie Lyles, Adam Stroop's opponent, as you did once fight him before. So tell us what we expect from Donnie Lyles on September 13th.
Yeah, Donnie, I fought him back in 2007. He's a seasoned veteran. He's got a lot of experience. He's a well-rounded fighter. I would say he's more diverse on the ground than he is standing. But, he poses a big threat to Adam. If he gets Adam to the mat, it's going to be a great fight, even standing. I'm really excited for this. Anytime you get a fighter that has that kind of experience, you never know what to expect. And, those guys' experience will get you through those wars. So you got a young fighter in Adam who's on his way up, and Donnie who's been out there for a while. So it'll be a good test.
And speaking of wars, Donnie Lyles, he's a former IFL and Strikeforce vet who has a record of 16-6. He's 7-1 in his last 8 fights, beating SCL veteran Cruz Chacon, UFC fighter Seth Baczynski, and Bellator fighter Jeremy Kimball along the way.
Yeah, those are great wins. Seth Baczynski's a longtime friend of mine, and he's in the UFC currently still, and he's a real tough fighter. So having a win over Seth is huge. I was at that fight in Cripple Creek years ago, and I think he triangle choked Seth. Jeremy Kimball's been on a tear, so that's a big win for Donnie as well. And Cruz Chacon has been around the block. He's fought more fighters than I've probably met. So. He's got a solid record, and like I said, he's a game opponent, and he comes to win.
And so, Chris, this fight has turned into a battle of the beards, as both men will be sporting some grizzly facial hair. It has all of Facebook buzzing, and even the owner of Sparta Combat League, Jeff Cisneros, has been growing his chops out. So tell us what you think about this whole battle of the beards thing.
I find it hilarious, especially that it's even on the fight poster, the Battle of the Beards. But, Adam told me when he signed to fight Donnie that he couldn't let Donnie have a better beard than him, so he started growing it. And I see Adam in the gym every day, and that thing's getting bigger and bigger. He's trying to catch up to Donnie, but, I don't know if he can get that far.
Yeah, Donnie's he's got a beast of a beard, that's for sure. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to talk about the co-main event in Josh Copeland against Anthony Alvarez. So the main event Friday, September 13th, will be the Battle of the Beards, Adam Stroop versus Donnie Lyles for the SCL Middleweight Championship. This will be a 5-round fight, or this could be a 5-round war. Get your tickets now at www.spartacombatmma.com. Up next, we will break down the co-main event, Josh Copeland against Anthony Alvarez. Enjoy a word from our sponsors. Welcome back to Inside the Pit, talking about the big fight, Havoc at the Hellspawn, September 13th at the Budweiser Event Center in Loveland, Colorado. Get your tickets now. It's an event that's surely going to bring a lot of people in.
Definitely, the Budweiser Event Center is a great venue. The last one was huge for us, and I expect this one to be even bigger.
I do too. Tickets are really doing well right now, so get them fast. And the co-main event, Josh Copeland fights out at Grudge Training Center. He's 5-0, taking on 4-2 Anthony Alvarez. Now, both of these guys fought before, but there was one thing different. What is it, Chris?
They were both amateurs. This was a couple years ago, I believe. I had the opportunity to watch this fight as well. And, anytime you lose to a fighter, you always want that opportunity to come back and beat him, whether it's pro, amateur. You want to knock that loss off your record, in your mind and on paper. So it's always interesting to see rematches, especially years later when guys have had an opportunity to train more and get better and grow.
And I think that happened with both of these guys. Anthony has grown. He's brought his pro record to 4-2. And same with Josh. He's 5-0. I think these guys, when they both tango, I just do not see this going to the distance. Do you?
No, I don't see it going to the distance. I'll be surprised if it goes out of the second round. Heavyweights, they tend to start fast and finish really slow. So if it does go to a decision, I'll be shocked.
But I think in MMA, don't you think that heavyweights, that's what people come to pay to see? They want to see the big guys going in there. No offense to the smaller weight fighters out there, but just something about the heavyweights. Like back in the day, you had these heavyweight boxers. And it's the same thing with MMA. When you get two big guys like Josh and Anthony going at it, it's like two bulls that are just going to collide.
Yeah, I think with any kind of contact sport, people want to see these massive guys just go at it, whether it's football, the NFL, these monsters just running into each other full speed, or boxing, like you said, two guys that just have an extreme amount of power. Or MMA, the heavyweight division has just always brought some major excitement. And, I agree with you. I love watching the smaller fighters fight, but there's nothing like a high-level heavyweight fight.
Oh, for sure. And this one is not only just a regular heavyweight fight. This is for the SCL Heavyweight Championship. And with this win, do you agree that either one of these guys, that they move that much higher to the next step?
Yeah, I think it gives them both an opportunity to move forward. As you said, Josh Copeland's 5-0. with a win, he'll be 6-0, and that's a good record, especially to start looking at these bigger shows. Heavyweights are far and few between, in the high levels. There's a lot of mid-level heavyweights, but once you start getting past that, I think the opportunities are bigger.
Sure, you got the bigger organizations like Bellator and the UFC that will be looking at these guys. Their heavyweight rosters aren't exactly, I'd call, strong. They're definitely solid with some solid heavyweights, but like you said, those heavyweights, they'll make it to that next level with a win here.
Yeah. Every organization's always needing more heavyweights. Like we said, that's what people want to see. So the more the better, as far as I'm concerned.
So we already talked about 2 title fights. Let's just throw a third one on there. Dequan Townsend, the Tarantula, he's 4-1, taking on undefeated Matt Cox, who's 3-0 for the welterweight championship.
That's another good one. Dequan Townsend, he came in, fought the hometown favorite a few shows ago, and he shocked a lot of people.
We didn't see it coming either. I mean, literally, Dequan walks out to this. I'm not going to say anything because we'll ruin the surprise. But on September 13th, trust me, his walkout is very good. It's actually longer than his last fight.
Yeah, that last fight went by in a flash, and he really put an exclamation mark on his Colorado debut, and that's what made us want to bring him back. And we had trouble finding people to fight him. A lot of people turned it down, and Matt Cox is a gritty fighter, and he took the fight instantly, and he's got confidence, and I think it's going to be a great fight.
Yeah, Matt Cox last fought for Sparta Combat League back in January. He took Michael Matthews to a unanimous decision win, and in that fight, I saw a lot of good, solid offensive wrestling from Matt Cox. The problem is, Dequan is so elusive, and we don't even know much about Dequan because of his 7-second, he was literally in and out of Colorado. So do you expect Matt to use his wrestling and try to grab someone like Dequan and put him down?
I think he has to. Dequan has a big size advantage on him. He's a big 170-pounder. And Matt, I feel like he could teeter between 155 and 170. But, I think he can be quicker. And I think if he employs the right game plan that, he can put Dequan in some trouble. But like you said, we haven't seen Dequan's ground game. We haven't seen his wrestling. So, who knows? But I think that's the best route for Cox to go.
It should be a great fight. We already mentioned 3 championship fights. We will take a quick break. When we come back, Chris and I will break down the rest of the card, and Chris will have Kamozi's Corner with Mike Migreca Martinez.
Kick up the volume, play it loud.
Welcome back to the show. Chris, this card is just so stacked, it keeps on getting better and better. We talked about the main event, the co-main event, the welterweight title fight between Cox and Townsend. Let's preview a little bit of the rest of the card right now. Vinny Lopez taking on Willie Smalls. Vinny was on a 5-fight win streak before losing his last 2 fights. He takes on a tough SCL veteran in Willie Smalls. Chris, what does Vinny need to do to turn it around? And what does Willie need to do to win this fight?
I'm a big fan of Vinny's. I say it every time I watch one of his fights. I'm more impressed by him every single time. His striking, his footwork, his head movement, everything has just come so far from when I'd seen him fight in the past. I think what he's doing is working. He's just caught some bad luck, on a few fights. But I think if he picks his shots, moves his feet like he normally does, in and out, I think he will have some success with it. Willie is looks like a big, strong guy. I think Vinny definitely has the speed on him. And I think Willie's going to be trying to corner him and land the big shots. But I think if Vinny can move his feet, land his strikes and get out of their circle and just keep Willie chasing him around, I think he should do well.
And I think, again, this fight has Fight of the Night written all over it. It's been doing very good on Facebook. Lots of fans have been really talking about this fight. Willie brings it every time he comes out there. He's fought veterans such as Cody Muma and Adam Stroop.
Yeah, he's not shying away from the tough fights, which is, that always makes fans like him. Fans want to see guys go for tough fights. They don't want to see, fighters fight guys that they know they can beat or, that are newer than them. So,
Sure.
I have a lot of respect for him. He's taking tough fights and, he's winning, so.
So our next fight is one of two Muay Thai fights on the card. Danny D-Boy Mitchell taking on Brian Scraper. Now, everybody loves a good kickboxing fight, and with Danny and Brian, they both bring it. Two big dudes, 205 pounds. What do you see in this kickboxing fight?
Professional Muay Thai is always a lot of fun to watch. I'm a big fan of the sport. I watch it on TV a lot. I follow a lot of the big guys out there on YouTube and everything, follow their videos and stuff. So it's cool to see it coming back on the local level and Sparta Combat League bringing it back with, the professionals. The amateurs are fun too, but the professionals, we got smaller gloves, no shin guards, no headgear.
More dangerous,
yeah,
basically.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it more fun, the elbows, the clinch. There's a whole other aspect to it that I think people don't realize, and I think Colorado fans are getting to be more educated about it the more Muay Thai fights we have.
And again, if you're new to kickboxing or Muay Thai, it's basically the same standing 8-count rules as boxing. You see a lot of these Muay Thai fights where a guy will knock down the other guy and the ref separates him and starts counting and people in the crowd are yelling, jump on him, elbows. Well, you can't do that. It's pretty much the same rules as boxing, correct?
Yeah, correct. If he's not ready to go within that 8-count, then it's a TKO loss.
Moving on, we had a fight signed. Chase Hackett was originally signed to fight SCL veteran Cruz Soltero, but an injury in camp now has his Factory X and your Factory X teammate, Marcus Bad Intentions Edwards, in as a late replacement against Soltero. Tell us about it.
Chase is a longtime friend of mine. He was the best man at my wedding and everything, and he's had the injury bug a little bit, so it's a bummer. He's a real good fighter. It was going to be his first fight for Sparta Combat League. He was real excited to fight for us. But, small injuries, nothing serious. He'll be back, hopefully in a couple months. But Marcus, another teammate of mine, that kid's always ready to fight. He doesn't really know anybody. Even, you ask him about UFC fighters and stuff, he has no idea who it is, but he'll fight anybody. Just tell him, he doesn't even ask for the name. He just says, tell him the date and he'll be there.
That's a fighter right there.
Yeah, he's a real tough kid, a lot of power, real unorthodox. So it should be a great fight with Cruz Soltero.
Marcus last fought for SCL back in June at the Greeley Stampede, and he lost a split decision against UFC veteran Efren Escudero. How much does Marcus need to rebound against a tough Soltero in this fight?
He definitely needs it. Anytime you lose in your career, you have to come back with that exclamation point, a big bang, Let people know that you're not on the downside of your career. Not that one loss makes you on the downside, but, 2, 3, getting into those losses, it can really set you back. So Marcus needs to come back big, finish big, impress the crowd, which he always does.
Always does.
But, he just needs to come back fighting and definitely finish this guy, which isn't easy. Cruz Soltero's a real tough guy. He's got good leg kicks, and he's a game opponent. That guy will fight anybody as well. I don't think he's ever turned down any fight we've ever offered him.
So, and I think that's what makes this a special fight. They're both going to come out to look to put on a show for everybody in Loveland. Moving on, Ian Stonehouse taking on Steve Simmons, another Muay Thai fight. So this is the second fight on the card, a Muay Thai fight. What do you think, Chris?
It should be. I'm interested to see it, Stonehouse, I always thought he was more of a ground guy. But, who knows? He's been working his striking. He fought my brother a while
last
back.
Fight.
Yeah, and they had a good stand-up battle. He landed some good shots as well. Steve Simmons has got real good striking. So, I'm interested to see how this one goes. You know, it's kind of up in the air. I don't have a favorite in this fight.
And again, it's not an MMA fight. This is going to be a Muay Thai fight. So again, it'll be one for the fans. Punching, kicking, to see someone get dropped. That's what people want to see. Steve Simmons lost his last Muay Thai fight against Garrett Culpepper back in June. He's looking to rebound. Ian Stonehouse doesn't have that much experience kickboxing, like Chris said. He's more of a ground guy. So it should be very interesting to see how this plays out. And finally, Mike Martinez taking on Chris Nieto for the SCL lightweight title. Nieto takes the fight on short notice, replacing Tremaine Apley as he got injured in camp.
Yeah, the lightweight title coming up. You know, title fights are always great. You know, both guys want that belt so bad. You know, you see these guys just bring it. That belt, you know, the Sparta Combat League belts are some of the coolest belts I've seen around.
Sure,
you know,
they are.
I love the way those things look, and you know, all the fighters have seemed to really like them, and you know, that just motivates guys even more to go in there and put on a show and get that win.
It does, and Martinez submitted Apley's teammate Heath Taylor back in July to earn this title shot.
Yeah, you know, late minute replacement's always interesting, but you know, coming up after this, I'm gonna have a chance to talk to Martinez and sit down with him. We got some questions for him, so I won't go any further, and we'll let him answer these.
Awesome. Stick around.
Welcome back. In this week's episode of Kamozi's Corner, I got Mike Mig Wrecker Martinez with me, here to talk about his upcoming fight. It's a title fight for Sparta Combat. Congrats on the title shot. Your last fight went real quick. You relied a lot on your wrestling. Is that something that you're more comfortable doing in the cage, or is that just how it happened to go down?
Wrestling's pretty much second nature, you know. Somebody growing up boxing, they rely on their hands in the cage. I grew up wrestling, that's where I took it, from the feet to the ground. That's where I know my strengths are at.
Definitely, you know, wrestling's obviously a huge part of MMA. You can control whether the fight's on the feet or on the ground, you know, and we're seeing a huge rise in wrestlers, so I think that's great. Where did you wrestle at?
Grew up wrestling at a Frederick High School, but I grew up with the Fort Lupton Metro program. That's where I got most of my training. So.
Nice. Did you wrestle in Little League too? Or?
Oh yeah, ever since I was 6-7 years old, man.
Oh, okay, so it's second nature for you. That was your first step into MMA. Then.
Exactly. Well, they asked me to come in and work with some kids at wrestling, and said, "Hey, dude, you need to just step in the cage and get it done since you're here every day, anyways."
So that's how you originally got into MMA.
Yeah, that's how I
helping
started.
Guys train, and then you know, you felt like it was for you after that, something you were interested in.
Yeah, it just gave me that drive and that motivation, you know, that you have when you're young again and you have something to work hard for and dreams you want to catch. So, and this is just something that's fun that I love doing and gives you a great lifestyle, healthy lifestyle more than anything. So
definitely.
I appreciate that.
So where did you start training, and where do you train now?
Well, I got into it with a good friend of mine, Toby Lopez, up from Extreme MMA. They got me in there, and that's how I started. The past 2 fights, I've decided to go independent, only because my work schedule, I work so much that I get off of work 6-7 o'clock at night, so I really don't feel comfortable asking a certain gym to corner me full-time if I'm not able to make the same obligation to them, you know.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. You know, for people that don't realize it, MMA, there's so much more to it, you know. Over the years, I've had people ask me, like, oh, so you just show up and fight and yada, yada. You know, people don't realize that it's, when you have a full-time job like this and fighting is another full-time job. I mean, if you added up the hours of training, like I said, it would be, you know, it could be close to another 20 hours a week or so.
Oh, easy.
You know, so there's a lot to it. And like you said, as far as making it to the gym on a regular schedule with teams. A lot of teams require that, and for you to fight for them. But it looks like you're doing well. What you're doing is working. Who do you do some cross training? I heard, right?
As in,
You're training at the Muscle
different
Farm
gym
facility
Yeah,
and some other gyms.
That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to actually step in there and be a part of Team Elevation with Coach Leister Bowling. And ever since I made that decision, just my work schedule's kept me out at work every single day. So I haven't even had a chance to get in there with Coach. Hopefully here in the fall when it slows down, I'll be able to make that commitment and be in there every day with him and be an actual part of the team.
Very cool. So what do you do for a living?
Do marble and granite, Stone Concepts Inc. It's a family business we've had since 2000.
Awesome. So staying strong,
Oh, yeah.
Anybody that's ever lifted granite knows that that's like working out all day.
And it is, man.
I've had the awesome opportunity to take some granite out of some houses before.
Yeah.
It is not light. So what do we expect from you on this next fight?
I was looking forward to fighting Tremaine Apley just because he's a pretty much unknown, but I guess these guys found me another guy that's not really known around here, but he's a badass wrestler. So putting two good wrestlers together, you're going to get a good stand-up, or you're going to force a stand-up pretty much, other than you guys are going to be down there trying to just wrestle it out. And I don't really want to do that. These people want to see, like Luke was saying earlier, they want to see knockouts, they want to see hits. So that's what we're going to come in here, and that's what we're going to give them.
So are you familiar with your opponent, Chris Nieto, anymore? Hopefully I'm saying that last name right, Nieto. We kind of talked about that. So if I'm not, I apologize, Chris. But other than wrestling, are you familiar with any of his fights?
I'm not even familiar with his wrestling career. I've just seen what he's done in state when he was in high school, and that's pretty much it. So, but anybody that goes to stay in places in Colorado is a tough kid, so can't ever put anybody down or look past them. Awesome.
So a lot of times, like you said, when you get two good wrestlers, sometimes that can be neutralized. Do you feel like you have the advantage on the feet if
I feel like I have a lot more strength than him, and I think I have a little more experience since, I was doing the national circuits for freestyle and Greco. I'm used to performing in big crowds. I feed off of the crowd, and I have a lot of fans there to support me, so that always gives me that drive.
Age and wisdom.
Yep.
I'm getting to that point too.
It comes with time, my friend.
Yeah. So is there anybody that you have set your sights on after this? If you win the title, do you have anybody that you'd like to fight in the future? Or
just like you guys said, I'm one of those dudes. I'm willing to fight anybody, especially if it's going to be a good fight. I'm all in. I don't want easy fights. I don't want to just go in there and be like, oh, he's fighting nobodies, that kind of stuff, because then you don't build your own reputation. The harder the guys I beat, the better I look, and then the harder fights I keep getting.
How far off do you think you are from turning professional?
That's not really for me to decide. As far as I see it, I think I'll wait for coaches and promoters when they decide, hey, you need to start banging with these pros, then I'll make that switch.
I think that's a great decision. As fighters, we always say, we'll fight anybody. So we need those middle people to make those decisions for us, because all of us are
ourselves sometimes.
Yeah, all of us are there to fight, and just that's what we do. So having managers and coaches to look out for you and kind of give you those outside voices.
Yes,
and,
sir.
Maybe when you're ready to go pro, like you said, somebody will tell you. I think a lot of guys turn themselves pro too quickly, or not ready for it.
And that's the thing. If I go out there, just like I am an amateur, I'm out there to win, and not, go out there just to be out there, to say I'm just a fighter. I do this for the serious stake of winning. So when I go out there every day, that's what I want. I want that victory, hands down, no, not messing around or nothing like that. So
that's great, because again, we see too many guys come out there that just want to do it, and they don't put the work in. They don't put
just to say they're a fighter, that kind of thing. I see a lot of people, oh, I train and all that, but
yeah, so
to have dedication and put heart into it,
Definitely, it's a sport I love, so I always appreciate meeting people that want to put the time and effort into it, and not just try to jump up, and try to make the quickest way to the top, and if they don't, then they're out. So that's great to hear. So is there anybody else you'd like to thank before we get going?
No, I just want to thank Luke and Jeff at Sparta Combat League for giving me the opportunity to be fighting for these guys. And then after that last fight, giving me the opportunity to fight for the title. That means a big deal to me, to my family, to my friends, to my sponsors, to my coaches. So this is a really big deal for me, and I appreciate everything these guys do for me.
Awesome. So this is Mike Mig Recca Martinez, and he's going to be fighting Chris Nietos September 13th at the Budweiser Event Center. So make sure you get your tickets. It's for Sparta Combat League, SpartaCombatMMA.com. You can purchase tickets on there, or of course, if you want to support the fighters, we'll have their Twitter handles, their Facebook pages and stuff. But for those of you that don't know, these fighters make a commission off these ticket sales. So if you have a specific fighter that you like, make sure you support them, buy tickets from them. And it helps them out as well.
Especially for those amateurs. Those amateurs don't get paid a purse, They get paid off the ticket sales, so got to make all that hard work and going out there and putting on a show worth it.
Definitely. Well, thanks again, man.
Thank you, Chris.
Good talking to you.
Greatly
Looking
appreciate
forward
it,
to your
sir.
fight.